After introducing the relevance of purchasing and supply management, I would like to come now to the strategic dimensions and essential strategic dimensions of purchasing and supply management. Many people new to procurement, purchasing, or supply management often underestimate the complexity of this function. A common response is, why can't you just go out and buy the stuff I need? I do all my shopping online at Amazon, why can't I do it at work? In reality, the purchasing process is far more complex than doing your personal shopping online. This is because purchasing has a major impact on organizational competitiveness. Supply managers are continuously working to improve both the efficiency and effectiveness of this process. As highlighted in the opening vignette, procurement and the automation of procurement functions play an increasingly significant role in business strategy. They can even create new market models for organizations in the global economy. In this context, supply managers follow a structured set of activities and responsibilities. The purchasing process typically involves the following points, such as spend analysis, demand management, category strategy, contract management, cost management, and supplier relationship management, which I would like to introduce in the upcoming slides. Spend analysis is a critical process in procurement and supply management. It involves collecting historical data on organizational spending, categorized by commodity and in relation to demand from the business units. This excludes personnel expenses, occupancy costs, and general corporate spend. The data must be detailed enough to support unit-level analysis and commodity management, but it should also be aggregated to provide an overall view of the organizational spend. The goal is to establish a common understanding of historical spending patterns for each end users within the organization. Accurate spend analysis relies on defined and automated procure-to-pay systems, which capture the right data efficiently. Every expenditure should be linked to a unit of consumption and a rate of consumption, providing clarity on how resources are actually used. So the output of spend analysis is highly strategic. It informs demand management, commodity management, and risk management strategies. Equally important is communication. So business partners must understand where their money was spent and why. This transparency helps align procurement strategies with organizational goals and support smarter decision-making. Demand management is the process of using unit and rate consumption data to forecast and estimate future consumption within an internal function customer or business unit. It involves not only predicting how much will be needed, but also providing guidance on optimizing usage and educating users about trade-offs. In short, demand management is about aligning consumption with organizational goals, while maximizing efficiency and cost effectiveness. It ensures that purchasing are not only reactive, but strategically planned and managed. So activities in demand management may include, but of course it's not limited to, optimizing sourcing strategies based on project purchasing volumes. By understanding how much a team expects to buy, purchasing can proactively plan supply contracts and negotiate better terms. It's also about setting policies, procedures, and measurement systems to control and manage consumption. This ensures that unit or categories of spend stay within budget and encourages efficient use of resources. Beyond forecasting and guiding consumption, demand management also involves ensuring appropriate capacity and managing the supply base to minimize risks. So this includes maintaining sufficient supplier capacity to meet organizational needs while reducing the risks of supply disruption. Establishing fixed standards to limit options and restricting the supply base to preferred suppliers who meet risk, compliance, and quality requirements. So challenging product and service specifications to divide costs down while maintaining the required level of performance. Category management is the process of developing a deep understanding of stakeholder requirements, comparing these to external industry intelligence, and analyzing supply-based capabilities and assessing operational risks. The goal is to develop a strategy that aligns internal requirements with external supply market conditions. And a key activity within the strategy is a sourcing event, which explores the market to identify competitive value. A critical element of this category strategy is a business case that clearly defines the rationale for the plan, risk mitigation plan, and the business value expected from the strategy. The output of category management typically includes a contract negotiation plan, a supplier scorecard to monitor performance and the supply relationships, a sourcing work plan to communicate the strategy to internal users, and in many organizations, category management also requires senior executive acknowledgement that purchasing has the strategic responsibility to evaluate and select suppliers. This ensures the organization to avoid maverick buying and selling, a situation where sellers attempt to bypass purchasing and sell directly to end users. Instead, purchasing should collaborate with stakeholders, including them on the category team, to provide input on supply evaluation and selection. For example, engineering can support the category team by assessing supplier product and process capabilities. It is important to note that while sales representatives can communicate with non-purchasing personnel, non-purchasing staff cannot make commitments or enter into contracts without formal interaction with purchasing, either through the category teams or contract negotiation. Finally, decisions in category teams are made by consensus, ensuring that supplier selection reflects both strategic purchasing objectives and stakeholder input. Portfolio analysis is a strategic tool used to structure and segment the supply base. Its primary purpose is to classify suppliers and the goods or services they provide into one of those four categories, allowing organizations to understand the strategic importance of each purchase. So every purchase or family of purchases is classified into one of the following four quadrants. Critical is about high value items with a significant impact on business performance and high supply risk. These require close supplier management and strategic partnerships. Then we have routine items that typically have a low value, combined with low risk items that are easy to source and require minimal management effort. Efficiency and automation are key here. For leverage items, those are high value items with many available suppliers. Organizations can use their purchasing power to drive cost savings and negotiate favorable terms. And finally, there are bottleneck items that are low value but high risk items where supply disruption could create significant operational problems. These require careful monitoring and risk mitigation strategies. So by effectively classifying purchases into these categories, supply managers can align sourcing strategies with the strategic importance of each item. The results of the portfolio analysis can be compared to the current sourcing strategy for the category group, and tactics and actions can be developed to optimize supply management and purchasing outcomes. In essence, portfolio analysis provides a structured framework for prioritizing supplier relationships, allocating resources effectively, and supporting strategic procurement decisions. An important area of control for purchasing is the right to determine how purchase contracts are awarded. This includes decisions such as whether to use competitive bidding, negotiation, or a combination of both. If competitive bidding is used, purchasing also decides how many suppliers will be invited to bid. Purchasing should lead or coordinate negotiations with suppliers, while personnel from other functions can support negotiations. Purchasing retains the authority to control the overall process and act as the organization's legal agent and negotiate the purchasing price. Because contracting involves multiple communications among internal customers, purchasing, sales, and suppliers' internal functions, supply management remains the primary contact with suppliers during the contracting process. Involving stakeholders, however, can improve the transfer of information and knowledge between buying and selling organizations, leading to mutual beneficial contracts. Historically, many purchasing departments restricted supplier contact solely to purchasing personnel. Today, many firms allow other functions to interact directly with suppliers as needed, while purchasing remains ultimately responsible for developing and validating contracts. Contract management is the process of defining the contract, defining roles and responsibilities of both parties, advising when modifications are necessary, ensuring appropriate escalation, and through contract management, purchasing ensures the accuracy of terms and conditions, alignment with the category strategy, and also compliance with service level agreements. Signing a contract is not the end of purchasing responsibilities. In fact, it marks the beginning of a critical phase, cost management. One of purchasing's most important ongoing roles is continuous cost improvement. Cost management involves unbundling the price paid and understanding the total cost of ownership over the entire life cycle of a product or service. This allows purchasing to determine a target cost and unit rate, ensuring the price is competitive in the marketplace. To achieve this, cost management may use various decision support tools and databases to generate insights, including the cost of supporting a process or commodity, the gap between cost drivers and the assumed business case, and evaluating whether an expense is justified within the business case, for example, determining if it is reasonable after delivering the product or service to the customer, and the total cost of offering a service, including all stages, receiving, usage, and disposal throughout the life cycle. Developing cost models during the early stages of category management before supply negotiation takes place. In essence, cost management ensures that organizations are not only paying a fair price, but also are optimizing costs across the full life cycle of the products and services, which drives long-term efficiency and competitiveness. The procure-to-pay process, often abbreviated as P2P, covers all the operational activities that occur from the moment a good or service is requested until payment is issued. This includes requisitioning, so submitting a request for product or service, RFX, so that means conducting requests for information, proposal, or quotation, contract award, that means finalizing and approving the supply agreement, orders, which means issuing purchase orders to suppliers, and approval, ensuring internal validation of the order, followed by receipt to confirm the delivery of goods or services, the payment, process invoices and making payments. And in some P2P process improvement focuses on establishing controls at the front end of the process. So by doing so, organizations minimize the need for back-end monitoring, increase efficiency, and free resources to focus on strategic initiatives. An effective P2P system also ensures the automated capture of clean, usable data, including spend, invoices, supplier performance, and account payable general ledger information. This data becomes a foundation for other procurement activities such as spend analysis, demand management, commodity strategy development, cost management. In short, a well-designed P2P process supports operational efficiency while enabling strategic procurement decisions. Supplier relationship management is the end-to-end process of managing a supplier throughout the entire sourcing lifecycle. This lifecycle includes identifying the supplier capabilities to assess whether a supplier can deliver the required goods or services for internal customers. Also includes completing a sourcing event, by meaning conducting competitive bids or negotiations to select the supplier. And also it means to negotiate a contract, defining terms, responsibilities, and service levels, executing orders and processing payments, ensuring timely delivery and financial settlement. When issues are delivered in supplier performance, organizations may implement a supplier development initiative. This is hands-on, Sigma-based approach aimed at helping suppliers meet quality, delivery, and cost targets. Supplier development typically occurs in two situations. Existing suppliers with performance gaps, working to improve their delivery, quality, or cost performance, or supplier relationships not generating expecting savings, taking corrective actions to ensure the partnerships delivers the project value. Supplier development is particularly critical when working with minority suppliers, as it supports capability building, ensures consistent performance, and strengthens long-term supplier relationships. In essence, supplier relationship management is not just about managing transactions. It is about strategically collaborating with suppliers to drive performance, cost savings, and long-term value for the organization.